Hi there, welcome to my art room. This is Dawn, and today I'm going to be working on some hearts for some gifts, but I really want to explore the use of colour inspiration. And so I went looking on Pinterest, my favourite looking place, and found a couple of colourways that I thought I'd just share with you. It just, rather than randomly picking any fabrics that I could out of my stash, I wanted to be a little bit more mindful of it. And so what I've done is I've found these colorways. So this first one is going to be, so I've got sort of 4, I think, or 5. I've just picked out of my stash colours that I think kind of go with. On here on the screen now it looks quite pale, but when I put this up against it, it's almost a perfect match. So I don't know what's happening with the colour on when you see it. Well, what I can see on the screen. But anyway, just thought that I would be a little bit more mindful about what I'm doing. This one here, when I look at it on the screen, it looks like beige, but it's not. It's like this colour green. So I don't know what's happened, why it's doing that. So I just thought this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to look at different colourways that will just help to direct me with what I want to do. Here, this looks like pinky colour. It's not. It's this colour. Oh, I don't know why it's doing that. I do not know why you're seeing, well, what I can see. Hopefully when it records, it comes out better than that. Yeah, so here are my different things, and I really want to think about this in a bit more of a mindful way. And so, yeah, these are my choices for these hearts, and I want to do one that's just creams and beiges but with a bit of lace. So while I don't have a colourway for that one, I have, I've picked out some things here, but it's going to be more lace. So these are something that I'm going to do for a gift. So my next little bit of this project is to come up with a heart shape that I'm happy with. And, I've had a couple of goes at this. I don't want a giant one, but I want it to be reasonably in proportion. So I thought, well, before I cut it, I'll just show you where my brain's headed with this. I've just sort of, so this piece of paper is folded in half. So when I cut it out, I should have, the same shape. I don't know. So what I'm going to do, I think this one is too big. So I'm going to go with kind of here. I might actually bring it down a bit there. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with that. I'll cut that out and let's just, let's just see what happens, because until I've cut it, I don't actually know what it's really going to do. Yeah. So my plan is to do some slow stitching. There'll be, all right, ready? Let's see what happens when I open it. Ta-da. Oh, maybe. Probably. that's, you know, it might be a bit wider than I want. Do I want to come into there? Oh, you know, can cut it again if I don't like it. All right, I'm going to go kind of like on that. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, yeah, that's a little bit better. It felt a bit wide. So it's only going to be fairly small pieces. I want to slow stitch it. I want to do some embroidery embellishments. And, you know, I've even got the beads and the sequins out. So I think, you know, that'll be good. I've also got some quilt wadding, batting, that I'm going to use as a, you know, to stitch onto. And I thought for the backing of each heart, I'll pick out one of these fabrics that, you know, I've got the most of, and back it in that, and thought that I would maybe put some Vilene backing on it so that it's you know, got a bit of stiffening, a bit of a weight attached to it. What I can't decide is if I'm going to do I need a bit of backing fabric as well as the wadding? You know, that's my next thought about that. I don't know. Let me think about it. I'm going to do all of the fronts and then I will add the backs, because once I've done the stitching on the front, it possibly will, you know, pull it in size-wise. So I don't want to cut everything out the same at the same time. I think it might be good if I have like maybe just like a calico first. Yep. Okay. When I get that sorted, you'll see me doing the next bit. Okay, so what I've done is I've cut a calico layer out and I've cut a wadding layer out of that heart, you know, that heart pattern. And I'm going to work firstly on the blue colourway. So what I'm going to do is show you this one. My phone keeps pinging me, so I'm hoping it doesn't need to be, you don't need to see every jolly thing that's going on in my life. So this one here, so fingers crossed it doesn't ping again in the next 30 seconds, because it's been doing that. I've already deleted one video because everybody's message came up. And so what I want to talk about is the background fabric, which is the background colour, which is this one here, and then lots of this paler one with some emphasis on the darker one, the lighter one appearing, and the darker one appearing. So I want to try and emulate that to see whether or not we can come up with a colourway that's inspired by this colour inspiration. Fingers crossed, that's where I'm headed. Okie doke. All right. So my first colour out of these 4 that I've picked, 5, there's 5. So they're the 5 that go with this. The darkest one, the next, the palest, the pale blue, and the dark blue. So these are all the fabrics that I'm going to be using on this heart. One of these will be the backing, but the front will be these things here. So let's just see what happens, okay? like I said, predominantly it's this colour. I'm just going to use it in different places. It might need a little bit of trimming at the end just to get back that heart shape. I will use a slow stitch method of making sure that all of the pieces are stitched down. I might add some embroidery as we go along. Yeah, just as something a little bit different. With each of these, I'm giving them a press because I just don't want all of those creases. Cool. And I don't really know which way that I'm going to do them. They're all probably going to be a little bit different. But this is kind of what I've got in my head. And like I said, it's just using the colour inspiration as a way of determining what I put on when, not where. I don't know where until I'm doing it. But I want to use this range to, yeah. I might just use some of these in, sometimes it's just easier to cut it. Just take some of the guesswork out. Cool. And this is a toile, a really old one that a friend gifted me. And I thought what I might do is just use like little bits of it rather than, I'm not going to ever fit the whole thing in, and I don't actually want to, that's gorgeous on its own. But I thought I could use this top bit here. Yeah, it's old fabric. It's not going to rip. All right, let's try that. This one, it's here. It's not nice. Didn't want to be ripped at all. Did not want to be ripped. I think I want it in there. And then I think some of this dark one can go on the outside. Let me think about, I don't know which way this goes. Maybe that way, I don't know. Let's try that. Sorry, I hope you can't hear that telly, that other telly that's going on in the background. But I don't know about you, I often find it difficult to work out what I want to put where and why for. All right, there's a bit too much yellow going on here. So I'm going to have a play around with it and come back and show you where I get to, because that's too much for me. Maybe I need to split that up. Yeah, I'll have a play with it. Am I going? Are you staying with me? Don't know. Yep. All right. You know, I'm going to keep doing that till I find a pleasing composition. Okay. So what I found was, you know, it's been off and on, off and on, off and on, off and on. It seemed to work better when I did a more sort of like graph rather than have them going all which way. That was a bit disturbing. So I've pinned them and now I'll cut around to give that heart shape. You know, I think I'm happy with this layout. Like I said, I played with it so many times until I worked out that it was when the lines were all going every which way, my eye didn't enjoy it. And so, yeah, that's where I'm going. So all of these hearts, while we'll have different colour combinations, they'll probably be similar in their look. Oops, 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 oops. Didn't pin that one down. Better do that before I lose it altogether. Okay. It needs to be, which way? Was it there or there? Oh, okay. I don't know. I think it was there. What I want to do is cover the lines, cover the joins, sorry, not the lines. Yeah, the lines, the joins, so that they all, you know, will be embedded. Well, let's have a go at that. Because I think once we get the shape, it will probably make a little bit more sense. And I'll just pick one of these fabrics, and probably the one that I've got the most fabric for. Good. Okay, that looks a bit better. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll canthus stitch all of these squares down. I'm going to use this creamy colour to stitch it all, just to make it a bit more cohesive. So let's have a go at that. I have, excuse me, just some crochet cotton. I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that all the way. But what I'm going to do is go around each of these squares. Oh, choked to death. Sorry. It's a bit late at night now. Well, it's not late, but it's well and truly after tea. Oh dear, sorry. Oh, just can't get that unthreaded. That's annoying, isn't it? When you're on camera. Good. I thought I'd do it sort of like in the vein of, like kind of crazy patchwork where I might put some extra embellishment stitches between the between each one. It would be great if I could find my thimble that I just can't see. I lost a thimble. Now I can't find the one that I was using, so that's all right. I'll cope. Cool. So, like I said, I'm just going to do basic running stitch. I'm still looking for my thimble while I'm talking to you. It's got to be here somewhere because I was just using it. But this is the way that I thought that I would do it. And then I'll come back with some embroidery threads. I've got a selection of pearl cottons here that I just need to pick the right one that I can add some additional stitches. Maybe that one. That might be nice. I might use that. I wonder where the thimble went. But as I said, I've also got some, just looking, I had some other stitching out. I'm wondering if I put it in amongst that. How annoying, because I just don't want to lose a second one. Having already looked, good, here it is. It's right in front of me. So I just thought using some coloured thread, I could embellish this a little more, a bit like a crazy patchwork idea. I want them flat. I don't want them padded like a pillow. So they'll be stitched on the edges. But I thought if I just go through my basic idea first of getting this down, these individual pieces down, and then I can come back and show you where I head, which direction I head in next. Cool. All right, I'm happy with this creamy colour because it's one of the colours in the range, and I think it'll work with it for now. Cool. I'll keep going. I've finished stitching all around each little piece, just in that off-white crochet cotton. Haven't done any more stitching, but now I'm just adding a little bit of extra embellishment here. Just went through some of my dyed laces, picked out things that were in the same sort of colourway, just to try and make sure that I stay true to that colour inspiration. This little flower here is probably the random one. It's got a little bit of extra green in it and it's a bit shinier than the rest, but I thought it just made quite a nice highlight. I don't know if I'm going to do any other stitching. I keep wanting, something's nagging me to do a little bit more of extra embroidery type stitches, but for now all I'm doing is doing a little overcast stitch. I'm using that yellow pearl cotton. It's also a dyed one, so it's a bit variegated. It's not too solid a colour. A little bit of dyed tatting. Just happened to be the right colour. I just looked through what I had. I guess if you don't have dyed trims or laces, you might find something else that works in the colourway. I didn't want it to make a big statement. I just wanted to add a little bit of extra texture and interest. I think if you wanted to make a statement on the front of it, you would probably maybe pick that off-white colour, or I think the yellow in this instance would make a statement on the blues. If you're using more yellow, then you'd probably put the blues on the yellows, if that's the way you're going to embellish it and stick to the colourway, because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to restrict how many colours I use and make each one stand out against the other. If I added hot pink or hot orange or green, you're going to see it more, but I'm trying to restrict myself to these 4 colours just to give myself a challenge. And really that's what this little project's about. Apart from making some heart gifts, I've given myself a design brief that I'd just like to stick to. For a change, that's all. Just for something different. I'm not trying to make it all matchy-matchy or do anything else. I'm just trying to restrict my choices and make it work. Give myself a challenge. That's all. And I think it looks all right. When I had the pieces of fabric going all which way, it disturbed me and I couldn't quite make it work. And then once I started putting it into a grid pattern, it just suddenly made sense. But you might find that you prefer it to go every which way, and I guess we all have, our eye sees something different, and my eye sees something pleasing about a grid. So that's why I'm doing it, because it makes sense to me. Cool. All right, I'll keep going. I thought I'd just do some little bit of embroidery here to continue with this, and maybe bring some down here. And I can come back and show you that when I'm doing it. I've started doing some embroidery now, I actually had a look in a book from by Jennifer Clouston and got some inspiration about just sort of doing some little spiky bits. But I thought I'll just come and talk to you while I'm stitching on these little bits here, just as an embellishment, because some people might not know what to do. So I've just come through the buttonhole and I've threaded on 3 little beads here. I'm going to use these little gold ones, just trying to find some matching colourway. Like I said before, just want to give myself that restricted colour palette. So I've threaded 3 beads on here and a little one on the end. I'm going to go back through those 3 beads. So miss that little gold one. Go back through the 3 and then back through the same hole that the blue ones were coming from. Just as a little bit of extra twiddle there. I've got a fine rayon thread that I'm using. You can see that. For I love pearl buttons on the wrong side. Yep, just using this finer blue thread as a beading thread. It's not an article of clothing, so the beads should be fine. They should cope with being on there. But I thought if I do a couple of buttons and some beads to make a little cluster here. It's never easy to continue once you start beading. The thread gets tangled very quickly. But keeping that blue and gold theme. I'll do go through these buttons a couple of times. And then I'll come back. So I was trying to decide how I was gonna embellish that little branch, and while I want to use some beads, Jennifer uses a lot of a ribbon embroidery, but I didn't really want to put ribbon embroidery on this. It might look alright, but I just didn't want to use it. Another little bead. What's this side like? Yeah, I just love the wrong side. The other one was a bit dark, black colour. I didn't want to use it. Oh. Sometimes I do another bit of research on Pinterest. If I can't decide how to do a layout of beads, looking at what other people do is good inspiration. Not that I've got anything in front of me, but at the moment, but I have had a look in the past. Cool. All right. And then I thought, maybe not that one. I thought I was going to use that one, but I'm not. But I've got some more of those blue ones. These ones. And I've got some little pearl ones that I think will go as well. Just put them down there. I can get at them easily enough. then, without spilling them everywhere. I've got a fairly fine needle. It's not a beading needle, but look at the shape of it. Funny. I probably could have used double thread, would have probably been a good idea. But I'll go through this one twice. And I might put a couple of those little pearls on there. And it's just building a little cluster. So using different sized things helps you get you that clustered look. Good. All right. I'll keep going with that later, but I'll show you where I'm headed. I'm going to tie this one off just for a minute. Get rid of the needle, but I'm leaving the thread on the back. This rayon thread, if you don't knot it off properly, it springs open again. All right, so I went looking in amongst my bits and bobs, and I think I'm going to brave this one. I know that it's got let me think about whether I am going to use it. It's quite mauve. It's not really blue. Do I want to use that? All right, I might start there. Get a bit of the yellow. I always just keep those extra bits. Before I get too much hot pink. I've got a little shorter needle here. Oh, yep, it's going to go through there. This is that fine 4-ply sock wool. Which will just give me that bit of texture that I'm looking for. And I thought what I might do, I'm just going to see, I haven't tried this yet. Whether I do a weenie, lazy daisy stitch or detached chain. Is it a bit mauve? It is a bit mauve. All right, I'm not going to use that one. It took me a little bit of time to find, sorry, I was going to lift you up. You're a bit close. Find something that, is going to make it work. Sorry, just fiddling around here. Yeah, I tried a few different things, trying to still stick, like I said, in that colourway. I know that I'm making it more difficult for myself, but I had dyed just a crochet cotton a while ago, and in places you can't see it. Oh, it's hard to see, but it's there. It's adding a bit of texture, and the stitches are there. course, on the variation, the dark bit of the variation went there and then the light bit went here. It's just how it goes, isn't it? But I even looked in my silk ribbon after I said I wasn't going to use it. I looked in my silk ribbon and didn't have any in the right colourway, and plain white was just too plain white. It didn't look nice. This is more what I would call a milk white, an ivory sort of white rather than a bright white, and my silk ribbon is bright white, so that wasn't going to work. So I just decided to add those beads to brighten it up, bright and bright, so that you could see it. But I thought if I just come back and show you this little bit, because then I won't come back again now till I'm completing it, putting it together. I think if you were doing something like this, adding any sort of embellishment that you wanted, really, the challenge is about colour. It's not about whether or not it's perfect embroidery. Like I said, I got a bit of inspiration from Jennifer Coulston, goodness, flower embroidery book, and she has lots of demonstration videos that you can have a look and see how she does things. And this is just what I'm doing. I did the darker brown sort of stem in this one, which I think matched with that. I did the finer stems with this one, all variegated, and now I'm doing the little lazy daisies with this one. Kind of reminded me of that peacock tail from that original picture. Yep, but this is just how I'm doing it, and like I said, I want to do 4 of these. I need to get my skates on. You'll probably see a couple of them finished in my thumbnail, but they won't all be done, that's for sure. There's a little bit of work in the hand stitching of it. It's a few hours work in each one. The hardest thing is gathering all your supplies and finding all the things in the right colour that you'd like to use. That was my challenge. After I set myself that challenge. So it's really working out which materials you're going to use to support that. Because sometimes it could be fabric, sometimes it could be lace or thread or beads, buttons, whatever it is that you want to use to create something in and sticking to a particular colourway. Yeah, see these leaves here almost no point. That's okay. Cool. All right, I'll keep working on it. I'll come back when I'm ready to put it together and you'll see the majority. A little bit of beading, a little bit of embroidery. I might put another little bit of embroidery down here. Another stem, I think. Sort of just to the power of 3. Cool. I'll be back to do the finishing soon. Well, I'm nearly finished. Finished one anyway. I've completed the embroidery and beading as much as I think that I want to have it done. I did a little bit of extra down here, finished off the ones at the top here, and on the back what I've done is I've actually added what's going to be a pocket so that I can tuck a little note in there. So all I did was cut this little triangular piece for the bottom, folded over the top here and stitched just a little quick hem there. And what I've decided to do is do some blanket stitch. I've also found some ribbon that I'm going to put in there. What I've done is fold it in half, tied a knot, and then it's going to pop in there so that when I come around to there, the knot will help to keep it in there while I'm stitching it. I'm going to do a blanket stitch to hold it down. I'm hoping that TV's not too loud. So yeah, because I had done the running stitch over here, I've just left that bit of thread. It's just, you know, that dyed crochet cotton. So yeah, this is what I'm going to do. What I did on the back of this, the lining piece, is I just ironed on some iron-on Palin just to give it a little bit of stability there as well. I've lost my thimble again. Okay, I've got it. It's all right. Don't stress. And I'll show you all the rest that I've laid them out. So it's now just time for me to spend some time now embroidering these. Each one I've tried to make a little bit different from the others. So yeah, you will see that white wadding there, but I don't think that'll be a problem. Helps if the needle will stay threaded. That's always a good start. So just go from the back to the front and then hook it in that little loop there. Just as a finishing off. You will see the white, but for the type of thing that it is, I think it's okay. I don't think it's too ugly. Oh goodness, can't keep that thing threaded. Can't keep the needle threaded. Cool. It'll give a neat enough, I think it'll give a neat enough edge, you won't see it necessarily. Alright, do a little bit more of that and then I'll show you what I've done with some of the others. So I've done 4 hearts in different colourways, and then I've done one that's in just the whites and creams lacy. That actually is quite specific. It's for a friend's daughter who's getting married in a couple of weeks, just as one of those wedding favours really, and I can tuck a little note in and wish them all the best. She's always liked the things that I've made, so I'm happy to make her one for a special day. Cool. All right, so that's what that's going to look like. From the front, looks quite nice. It's sealing up that edge and it's leaving a neat edge. So I've just picked a thread that's in that same colourway. Cool. Good. All right, this is the whitey creamy one. I'm still trying to decide. I've picked out these teeny tiny little sequins that are now everywhere, but I thought I'd just try and scatter them. So I've got some layers of different fabric underneath. I've put some lace on the top and then a lace trim, and I'm kind of thinking if I might add this. Oh, those little teeny tiny sequins are everywhere and they're like stuck to me. I've got a bit of static on them. Haven't quite decided. I've got a couple of different ones just as a edge, either that one that I can stitch as I go, because there's not going to be the amount of embroidery on this one, but I'll do the same back pocket. But I've got this one, it's a really old one. And if I tuck it in, a little bit of blue and a bit of gold. Oh yeah, I think that one might look nice actually. It's just going to add a little bit of extra. Cool, all right. I'll work that one out. They're the tiniest little sequin. And they're everywhere now on my work table because I just wanted to randomly scatter them. They're not stitched yet, but they're going to be. But they're everywhere. They just stick to everything. All right, that's that one. This is the pinks and greens in much more like that crazy patchwork idea where I'll put some complementary stitching in the same colourway. Might just pick one colour to add some stitching along there. This is the pinky cream ones. I've made a couple of Suffolk puffs. Oh, and there's just sequins everywhere. Goodness. I don't know how they got on that one, but anyway. Cool, and a little bit of lace on there. Made that piece underneath as a full colour. A little bit of lace, a little bit of that, a couple of Suffolk puffs and a little bit of lace flower. And then this is the brown, or those autumn tony ones. I thought it would be nice to have some borders. So there's the dark border, the cream border, and these, which will have some embroidery stitches in there as well, just to hold it together. So yeah, that's all of them. I'm pretty happy with, you know, how this project of really concentrating on colour as an inspiration has gone. I hope you've liked this idea as well, and if you're looking for how to put some colours together, think about finding out where it is that you can get that bit of information from. Don't try and reinvent the wheel. Find something that you can then be inspired with. All I did was have that colour chart, look in my fabric cupboard to find what I already had that would actually work in that colourway. Cool. Okay, I'll put this together and I'll talk to you again very soon. Okay, hope you enjoy. Bye for now.